The call came at 8:14 on a Tuesday. I was standing in the office kitchen, holding a cup of coffee I hadn't tasted yet. A man from Westbridge Financial asked me a simple question. "Are you planning to resume payments on your business loan?" I told him he had the wrong number. He didn't argue. He just read my full name, my old address, and the last 4 digits of my social security number. Then he said the amount, $148,000. I felt something shift. Not panic, not yet. Just a quiet realization that something was already very wrong. I had never applied for a business loan, but according to him, I already had one. And I wasn't paying it. He sent me the application while I was still on the call. At first glance, the signature looked like mine. Clean, careful, almost perfect. But the date didn't make sense. I had been in another state that week. I had proof of it. Travel records, receipts, timestamps, things that don't forget. Then I saw the supporting documents, pay stubs, bank statements, a utility bill, some real, some altered. Whoever built this didn't guess. They assembled it, and then he said something that made everything click into place. There was a co-applicant, my brother. Evan had always been good at borrowing things, money, time, trust. Growing up, he never really got caught, not in any way that stuck. There was always a reason, always someone willing to smooth it over. As an adult, he just scaled it. New business ideas, new promises, same results. Failure, rebranded as almost. I went to my parents' house that same evening. No warning, no call. My mother opened the door and froze for half a second before smiling like nothing had happened. My father was at the table, moving papers he didn't want me to see. Evan wasn't there. Of course he wasn't. I asked one question. Did anyone use my name for a loan? They didn't deny it. That was the first answer. My father said it was temporary. That word stayed in the air longer than anything else. Temporary. Like identity theft had an expiration date. Like fraud was something you could return once you were done with it. My mother said they were going to tell me, later, when things were more stable. Stable for who? Then Evan walked in. He stopped when he saw me holding the printed application. For a moment, no one spoke. Then he smiled. Not guilty. Calm. Controlled. He said the business was close to landing a major contract, that everything would be paid back soon, that my credit would recover, that no one outside the family would ever need to know. He said it like he was doing me a favor. I asked him one question. Did you sign my name? He said he had help with the paperwork. Help. That word again. Clean, empty, convenient. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten anything. I just nodded and left. Because in that moment, I understood something they didn't. They thought this was emotional. It wasn't. It was structural. And structures collapse on their own if you don't interfere. That night, I called a fraud attorney. She listened for 4 minutes. Then she said something I didn't expect. Don't warn them. She told me to freeze my credit, to pull every record I could, to let the bank move first. Because people who justify this kind of thing always believe the evidence belongs to them. By morning, I had everything. Credit reports, unauthorized inquiries, verification requests tied to Evan's company. He hadn't just used my identity once. He had built around it. When my mother texted me later that day, asking me not to do anything dramatic, I realized they still thought I was protecting them. That assumption was the only advantage I needed. So I said nothing. I went to work. I answered emails. I let the system start asking its own questions. The bank opened an investigation within 48 hours. They were calm, methodical, precise. They didn't need emotion. They needed timestamps, signatures, contradictions, and those my family had provided in abundance. There were multiple applications, not just one. One rejected months earlier, another approved later, with better numbers, better formatting, better deception. The digital trail led back to my parents' house. The notarization didn't match my location. The funds didn't go where they claimed. Everything that had been carefully assembled started separating under pressure. My mother started calling, then pleading, then bargaining. My father stopped explaining and started minimizing. Evan showed up at my apartment one night, said people would get hurt if the business collapsed. Employees, investors, obligations. I asked him how many employees he had. He hesitated. 3. Even then, he was still pretending scale, still trying to turn his decisions into something larger than they were. But the system doesn't care about intention, only exposure. And once that process starts, no one inside it gets to control the outcome. I never accused them publicly. I never tried to humiliate them. I never even raised my voice again. I just told the truth, exactly as it was. Nothing more, nothing less. And then I stepped back. The loan was frozen. Accounts were reviewed. Statements were compared. And eventually, the bank referred everything outward. That's the part they never believed would happen. Not really. They thought being family would soften it. That proximity creates protection. But systems don't recognize family, only patterns. And once the pattern was clear, everything else followed. The business disappeared first, then the investors, then the explanations. My cousin lost her notary status. My father started answering questions he couldn't reframe. Evan stopped calling. Eventually, even the house felt quieter. Not peaceful, just emptied of control. Months later, I walked past the office building where his company used to be. The sign was gone. The windows were clean, ready for someone else, like nothing had ever happened. And that's the part people misunderstand about consequences. They don't destroy the system. They preserve it. They just remove the people who thought they were above it. I never got revenge, not in the way people expect. No confrontation, no final speech, no moment where everything explodes. I just stopped protecting what wasn't mine to protect and let the truth do what it always does when no one stands in its way.